take two because I had attempted to record this and I was watching the playback in my editing process and it came out super choppy. So I hope that this comes out okay. I'm doing a solo recording for the full moon in Leo, which is happening on February 1st at 5:08 p.m. Eastern Time when the moon reaches 13 degrees. Full moons represent the end of a cycle. They are a culmination point, an opportunity to review the harvest of what we planted approximately 6 months ago. In this case, on July 24th, 2025, when we had the new moon in Leo at 2 degrees. In order to work with a full moon, there are a lot of options. I do have my 2026 life path calendar and guidebook, and in that guidebook, I have journaling pages at the end with prompts for each lunation type. This is our last lunation before the eclipse portal opens. So this is especially important in having that feeling of a close of a chapter because we're not going to get to open a new one until like late March, early April. So for this lunation, we are looking at, of course, 13 degrees of Leo, but we can cast out a slight orb 5 degrees either direction. So that's 8 through 18. If you have any natal placements that are in that range, those energies would be infused in the actual lunation. And you can also take it to the next level by using aspects and looking around and across the chart for any planets that are in range in those appropriate signs. But ultimately, for a full moon in Leo, this is heightened energy, potentially amplification of Leo traits. It's the fixed fire sign. It's known to be very playful and creative, very confident, very self-assured. The lower vibrational side is seeking validation, wanting an ego boost, pat on the back, wanting attention. So be mindful of all of that as you are navigating through this full moon day. I channeled 3 houses to talk about for our natal chart segment. So the first one is the first house. If you have this full moon in the first house, you would be reflecting on, expressing gratitude for, recognizing the growth within your sense of self, your identity. You could have made changes to your appearance, but maybe you've also just shifted how you are not just presenting, but how you are being. Has your confidence gone up? Have you identified as more of a creative, playful person? Main basic things to reflect on. If we move over to the 7th house, this is looking at committed partnerships. So that is romantic, business, really anything with a contract. You can take some inventory because, again, we're reflecting. So this can be on the highs and lows. It doesn't necessarily have to just be focused on what have I achieved in this area. Maybe what you've achieved for the 7th house is you're now in a partnership. Wonderful, great. And the other piece you can look at is, are those Leo traits present, the high vibrational Leo traits present? So are we connected? Are we playful? Are we engaged? Is it inspired? Is this partnership making me feel confident, self-assured? Or is it draining in some way? Lastly, we have the 12th house, and 12th house is soul work, undoing, self-undoing. It's isolation. It's those dark parts of ourselves and not being afraid to look at them. Now, whenever we have a full moon, just in general, in the sky, what this means is that the moon and the sun are in sister signs, so they are opposite each other. In particular, when we're talking about a full moon with Leo, the sun rules Leo. So anytime we have a full moon, the sun is technically unhappy. It's in its detriment. It means that it's in Aquarius. And we want to keep that in mind because that does actually color a bit of what's going on, that the sun isn't super happy it would be much, much happier if it was on that new moon in Leo. The reason I bring this up is because for the 12th house in particular, this is one of the very, very sticky houses and areas in your life to have a transit move through. So having potent energy in this area of your chart, when the sun, the ruler of this sign, is also not happy, it may make it even trickier in some ways to really see into those dark corners because the sun can't shine its light on them. So because it's actually a little bit darker over there. Like, obviously, we know for a full moon in general, we would say, oh, well, things are illuminated. It's easier to see. But specifically for a full moon in Leo, we know that the sun is far away. So certain things are lit up, but other aspects and components of this 12th house soul healing work are still a bit obstructed. And mostly it's just that the sun can't really do its work, can't really do what it wants to within that area to give you that boost. Quick scheduling updates, no live class on Monday. I am recording a week ahead reading, so that's going to drop first thing into my YouTube feed, so you can subscribe or just come back here early on Monday and you will find it. Make sure to watch this week's forecast. I had a completely different format where I pulled a card for each day, then channeled, so the reverse of what I normally do, and then spoke about the corresponding astrology. So you can check the time stamps in the description for each of the breakdowns for the 7 days of the week. And then I have a 4-minute recap at the end. That doesn't repeat all of the astrology and all of the analysis, which is kind of woven throughout, rather than what I normally do for my week aheads, where I have an analysis at the end once the regular readings are done. Also included is a brief breathwork practice and journal prompt that I led at the end. So it was a very, very different experience. Please let me know if you go back and listen to it. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a comment, you can send me a message. And of course, please do share if it resonates, if it panned out, especially because it was so specific in, okay, here's the energy of each of these days. I am very interested to see how that's going to land for everyone, including myself. I have my February 2026 astrology forecast class, only one, on February 4th. So you can check that out. And that will give you the full breakdown on everything else that I'm covering for this month. And you can also check out my blogs. That's linked in my bio. And that gives you a rundown of everything that I'm going to be covering, just in a few paragraphs. But of course, if you attend the class live, I elaborate more. And of course, there's the discussion with my students. So they'll ask questions. We'll go into their specific chart scenarios and talk about all that fun stuff. So it gets a little bit amplified beyond what I originally wrote, which is just the straight, here's what this is, here's what you need to know. So the additional color comes through the classes. So if you would like to attend, I'll include the link for that in the description.